this is Ilina and welcome to another LDRS creative card video. Today I'm using the new Hello Sunshine stamp set coordinating dies and coordinating stencil. So let's get started. We have a set of layering stencils, there are 4 of them. We have a 4x6 stamp set and coordinating dies. You can see there they also have the sentiment dies. One it's still in my pouch with from different project I was making, so it's not there, but it comes in the set. So let's get started. I have piece of 8.5 by 5.5 white cardstock, and I'm using my stamp positioning tool to line up that stencil in the corner. So if I line up all the stencil in the corner, they layer perfectly. So I'm using the magnet and a little bit of tape to secure that stencil in the corner there. And I'm using banana pie pudding for the first layer. So this is the 1A. We have also 1B and then 2A and 2B. So since I'm using larger piece of paper, I'm stenciling on both sides. So I have with one effort, I have 2 sets of flowers and leaves. Next, I'm going with Tangerine Dream. I am using the LDRS Creative blending brushes. So next, I'm going with the 2A. So the center of the flowers, I will stencil with Iced Tea hybrid ink. And then for the leaves, I'll be using Olive Branch. So here I'm using some post-it tape to mask off the leaves so I don't get any brown on the leaves where green should be. So I'm just applying the ink to the center of the flowers. I'll remove the masking tape and now I will mask the center of the flowers and use the olive branch to stencil in the stems and the leaves. Now we have the little tiny centers there. I think everything's covered. Just making sure that that stays in place. So I added another piece of post-it tape. Now I'm adding that olive branch hybrid ink. Okay, we have one more. This is the 2B. So I won't mask the center of the flowers here because it's very small area, so it's easy to separate those. So now I'm going with coffee bean for the center of the sunflowers, and then for the second layer of the leaves I'm going with Evergreen hybrid ink. So here you can see I'm turning it over and lining it up again to do that last layer on the other side of my piece of paper. This technique is very is great for mass producing. So I'm gonna cut that in half and die cut all of the sunflowers using the coordinating die all the flowers, and by magic of YouTube we have all of them cut here. So it just required 2 passes in my die cutting machine and we have a bunch of flowers. Okay, now let's start assembling our card. I have a piece of 4 by 5.25 craft cardstock, and I will stamp the Hello Sunshine sentiment using the watermark and embossing ink and emboss it in white. Again, I'm using my stamp positioning tool. Since I'll overstamp a few times to make sure that I have nice coverage with that watermark ink. And I'm using my stampable tool to apply pressure. Okay, one more time. Okay, now let's add that white embossing powder. Next, I have my heat tool. I'm moving it pretty quickly so I don't have a lot of warping or shrinking on that cardstock, because I'm gonna put it back in my stamp positioning tool and stamp one more time with the watermark ink and emboss one more time with the white embossing powder. This will give us more solid and more raised kind of dimensional sentiment. So again, I'm melting that embossing powder, and you can see how it looks a little bit different and more dimensional. Okay, now let's assemble our card. I'll be using some foam squares to add on back of the flowers. I need to add also on the bottom of that flower on the stem so it doesn't get smushed, so it's nice and sturdier. I'm removing the backing, and I will add that this is a larger flower. I'll add it in the center, and then the two smaller sunflowers on one on each side. Again, I'm adding some foam squares on the back, removing the backing, and adding it to my panel. And I'm doing the same for the last flower. Okay, so now I want to add some details for a little bit more interest. I'm using clear glaze pen to add to the center the darker brown dots of the center of the sunflowers. And next I'm using white gel pen to add some details on highlights on the flower petals and on the leaves and stems. So we're almost done here. I added on all of the flowers. Now I'm adding on the leaves. Actually, I have still that last flower on the right side. Getting that I'm satisfied with how it looks. I'm adding another piece of cardstock on the back to make it a little bit more sturdy. And then using foam tape, I will adhere it to a white note card. I usually create my own white note cards from white cardstock that I cut in half, either lengthwise or like the shorter or the longer side. If I want top folding card, I cut my cardstock to 4 1/4 by 11 and scored 5 1/2. Or if I want side folding card, I cut my cardstock at 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and score it at 4 1/4 at the 8 1/2 side. So here is the finished card. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. Please check out our blog for more ideas and inspiration, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Bye!